So good evening. I planned to say good afternoon, but by now it's good evening. Quick show of hands. How many of you brought an iPhone or a smartphone with you? Just to wake everybody up. Okay, how many of you use it for business emails? How many of you own a phone that costs at least $500? And how many of you use a Nokia or a Windows? Okay, for those of you, okay, very small number as opposed to everything else that had many numbers. Okay, so the title of the presentation, remember these answers, we'll get back to them. The title of the presentation is Knowing Millions of Users. Now, I'll fast forward to the future, 10 minutes, and say that there's no way to know millions of users, okay? But what I would like to do with you in the next 10 minutes or so is share with you what we do at Wix, which is the next best option to knowing millions of users. And for that, a couple of words about Wix. So the Wix vision is to allow anyone and everyone who wants to be out there, have an online presence, to be able to do so in a professional and stunning way. Now, the numbers, this translates to the following numbers. I'll highlight a number of them. 190 countries in the world have Wix users. Approximately half of the Wix team is focused on product development, different stages. We have over 120 million users worldwide, and we have 1.5 million new users join Wix every month. So with this number, focus on these two numbers, 120 million registered, 1.5 million joining us every month. How can you know these users? And I told you already you can't, and that's on the one hand. And on the other hand, anyone doing product knows that one of the most important parts of product development is managing the expectations and bringing your users the best product for what they need, even if they don't know it yet. So who are Wix users today? We'll have bloggers using Wix to blog professionally or about their hobbies. We'll have designers and photographers putting their portfolio online, either for sharing with friends or, again, to put themselves out for the business. We'll have the kids doing homework, by the way. It's very interesting. Every day we review sites worldwide, and we see sites built by kids as their homework, either their homework assignment or the way for them to present their homework. We have medical business owners using Wix in order to do their appointment scheduling. We have, by the way, it's not only medical professions. We have couples getting married and managing their whole event using the Wix platform. We have, again, boutique law firms using it like doctors. There's many similarities between doctors and lawyers. And if you have merchandise you want to sell online, then we have many merchants using the Wix platform in order to sell their products, and many other users using Wix in ways that we haven't thought of. So who are Wix users? Anyone and everyone that wants to have a professional and stunning presence online. So how do you know these users? We have many millions of users, and we have no way of knowing. So there's the classic way that you learn in business school. You research. You research your market. You research. You do a competitive analysis. You do SWOT analysis. No need for me. Data. With 120 million users, 1.5 million joining us every month, we have lots and lots and lots of data, and we use that data carefully and diligently. We use it for business analysis, business intelligence. We run hundreds of A/B tests day in, day out. We have an online support forum where our support people take the feedback and feed it back to us. And we have a call center. And all of this information funnels back to the Wix product teams. But that's not what I want to talk about. The jewel in the crown of every product company are the users. The users are hopefully everywhere, and it doesn't matter if you're a small startup with 1 or 0 or 10 or 100 users, or you're a large company with hundreds of millions of users. Your users are the jewel. And the question is, how do we get the information out of them? And now I'll be going back to the classic methods. Many times people use focus groups, use surveys, because there's massive users, and how do we get all of that information? So I'd like some quick reminders. This quote by Henry Ford, we all know, it's a very popular quote, which if he would do classic, I didn't ask how many of you, by the way, came here in a vehicle, but we'd all be here with carriages and horses. I'd like to mention these ones. None of you, I think I saw maybe someone raising their hand to a Nokia. Well, before Apple had the first successful smartphone, Nokia had the first successful smartphone. I don't know how many of you remember this device, the Nokia Communicator, an amazing hardware-software combination in a way that just only Nokia knew to do at the time. And yet, they effectively killed the product. They killed the product because all of their market research and focus groups told them that no one would buy a device for $500. Steve Ballmer, shortly after Steve Jobs presented the iPhone, ridiculed the iPhone, saying, what business user would use a phone without a physical keyboard to read their email? No one would do that. And for $500, well, I hope you looked around when you raised your hands. Most of us do just exactly that. And practically at the same time, slightly earlier on the timeline, BlackBerry, who remembers BlackBerry? Yeah, some of you. BlackBerry, the executive team there said, the iPhone is physically impossible, cannot happen. They were so sure they didn't bother changing their strategies and stuck to the BlackBerry, and again, we know the end of that story. So what should we be doing if our gut feelings doesn't allow us to trust on focus groups or surveys? Well, interview your users. If there's one thing I'd like you to remember from this session is interview your users. Interview your users doesn't mean reach out to them in a passive form, but talk to them face-to-face, video conferencing, phone calls, anything where you hear the other person, preferably if you can also see the other person. I'd like to share with you two stories from the Wix product history where we learned, and the best lessons we learned was from interviewing your users. So a couple of years ago, we launched a product. You know, it's online, so websites, so traffic, so conversion, so funnel. And we launched a product that was focused on bringing more and more business to our users. And it was successful by all the criteria. The numbers were fine, and the funnel was fine, and the journey was fine, and everything was fine, except that when we analyzed, we realized we forgot one thing. Everything was good. What did we forget to do? To interview our users, to hear what's going on, because we do that even if everything works fine. And we called Joe, some name, but a number of users, but we'll call them all Joe, and they were annoyed with us, and they were unhappy with the result, and they taught us something that we forgot to do. Because you see, they knew what their sales look like, and they knew that they need so-and-so time per business day in order to fulfill the orders. And we, all of a sudden, brought them more business, more traffic, but we did not complement that with more tools to ship their products. And as a result, they spent the holiday season at the post office instead of with their families. We would not have realized this, stupid mistake had we not interviewed our users. And as a result, we initially shipped a product that was subpar, which we fixed later. The second and last story, and my next to last slide, is about another product which we launched. And we had a big marketing campaign, and it brought lots of traffic to Wix, and these users registered, and they built a website, and they published the website, and all of a sudden there was a significant drop in the funnel. They were not converting as expected. So we reviewed the status with the product team, and we analyzed the numbers, and we analyzed the journeys, and we analyzed everything, and the team came up with a plan on how to fix it within 4 weeks, which is quite fast overall, considering the complexity of the product. But we asked them, tell us, did you talk to users before making this plan? And the answer was, since this is our session, no. we told them, go and talk to your users, come back to us before doing it. What happened was, the marketing campaign was very successful. People were intrigued about what this new thing from Wix does, and they did everything in order to understand what is so cool about this product. And after they built a site, they said, wow, it's super cool, but I don't need it. If I have nothing to sell, I don't need Wix online stores. If I don't have a restaurant, I don't need Wix restaurants, et cetera, et cetera. I don't need it. So people did all of the funnel except for the final phase. All we had to do to fix this product took 4 hours instead of 4 weeks. Better text upfront, better expectation matching, and we only reached it by interviewing our users. So knowing your users is the most important thing you can do as a product company, no matter if you're a startup, no matter if you're a large company, no matter how many users you have and at what phase. You don't have to do what your users tell you to do, but you do have to know what they think you should do. You do have to know what they think about what you are doing, and then you have to define your best product and do it, and the only way to do that is by interviewing your users. Thank you.